Hello everyone, this is Jacob Grandy here reporting for PJTWCentral.com, and I have a very special guest, Marc Charles from Outside Interference. He does the show every Saturday night, live every Saturday, outsideinterference.podbean.com. How you doing, Marc?
I'm great, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. And it's a great show every Saturday night. So obviously you were probably a big fan of wrestling growing up. What was your maybe first or favorite memory of wrestling as a kid?
Well, it's funny you ask that because my first memories as a kid is definitely wrestling. As early as 2 years old, I remember living up in Edmonton, Alberta, and I'm actually a third-generation wrestling fan. My mom's dad was a big Stampede wrestling fan up in Alberta, and my dad was a huge fan of the NWA and the Ric Flair type of promotions down south because he lived in Charlotte. But my first memories of wrestling, definitely got to say probably Hulk Hogan would probably be my first really memorable individual. I might even back up and say Jesse Ventura just because he was my first action figure when I was 1.
Oh, nice. Well, that's awesome. So, do you remember what you said? You watched a lot of the Stampede wrestling. You saw that's a lot of the hearts and everything, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I look at a lot of that nowadays and stuff, but I'll be honest with you, that was my grandfather. That was my mom's dad that was watching that every week. And, even my mom, and my mom being the oldest of her siblings, even she kind of watched it with him and stuff. So it was my grandfather that watched the Stampede. But then later on in life, later on in my adulthood, I actually went back to Canada, and the whole Stampede territory kind of influenced me too as well.
That's pretty cool. And obviously we're all wrestling fans and stuff, but a lot of people didn't really dive into the media aspect of it. How did you get involved with broadcasting and starting up the Outside Interference show?
Well, it was probably, I don't want to date myself too much, but it was probably about 10 years ago. I went to radio school, but before that I wanted to be a news anchor. I wanted to be on NBC or CNN sitting there telling the news, and those are my idols. So one thing led to another. I ended up in radio instead. But I went to college, and then I went to broadcasting school, and I kind of went through the ringer, and I interned, and eventually just like any kind of industry, you just work your way up a little at a time.
Nice, that's awesome. So do you watch any other stuff other than WWE, like any indies or anything like that you are enjoying currently at the moment?
I definitely enjoy Tommy Dreamer's House of Hardcore. I love the way he runs his promotions. I think he's great. I hope he ends up getting the money he's trying to get with these lawsuits that they're trying to pursue, because I think he'll do a lot of great things for the wrestling industry. And I've got to say, ROH has always done their thing. I'd still consider them indie in a sense. They do have a good TV deal. I heard they just got sold, actually. I don't know the details, but I heard that something happened with Sinclair Broadcasting that was actually the head of their TV and their TV rights and stuff like that. I heard they might have got bought or something happened. But ROH, anyways, I digress. ROH has been doing pretty well, and other than WWE, there's a whole lot of indies out there. I know of one called Main Event Pro Wrestling, and that's it's in Texas, and they draw 1,000 or 2,000 people a show, and they have a great setup, and they're ran like a real company, and with anti-bullying campaigns, and they go to schools, and so I like those type of companies when it comes to the indies, like basically a company that's not just going to go put on a show, have a wrestling matches, and maybe a little bit of gabbing and stuff like that on the microphone, and then go home. Like I like a company who's going to go out of their way and kind of make a difference and stuff, not just with wrestling, but go out in the community, and that's kind of how you really build a good promotion. Is you get out in the community and you do more than just put on shows.
Yeah, I always agree. Yeah, community service is a great thing to help. I like the anti-bullying campaign. Do you know if Ring of Honor is doing any kind of charitable work at all or anything like that?
I don't want to dog them, man, just not to my knowledge. I don't want to say no either. They could very well be. I just don't know.
Yeah, okay. That's awesome. So you live in Tampa, Florida now. That's real close to NXT. Have you ever found your way out to any of the NXT shows at all?
Oh, buddy, I definitely go out there, put a hoodie on and a hat and sunglasses and sit there and watch it. all by myself sometimes because they run in Lakeland, and I live really close to some of these little like little towns, let's just say, that are that they run in these armories and stuff. And I live pretty close to some of them. Like I don't have to cross through the city. Like I'm on the outskirts, and they're on the outskirts. So I do definitely go to a lot of the NXTs, and I like to mingle with the guys who run the shows and stuff there because they're just all really. It's just like a really cool. It's not like going to a Raw where you go to Raw and your first point of contact is the ticket master or the ticket the usher or whoever's taking the tickets and stuff. But you go to NXT and you better bet your butt that you might be buying a ticket from a producer or an agent, like someone that that you've seen on TV. It's like it's just a different vibe. So I kind of like that. The talent, they're a lot more accessible. And I've seen Byron Saxton and and the crew and stuff. I don't know that Byron's doing much NXT anymore, but I see them kind of mingling with the audience, taking pictures before and after. It's just a different vibe. I do enjoy it. It's cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, Byron Saxton was on this week's NXT. But he kind of jumped on Raw. How'd you think he did the Raw following Mania and everything like that with the Michael Cole angle and everything?
Well, that obviously there was obviously an incident where Vince McMahon wasn't all that impressed. I'm not trying to brush away from answering your question, but Vince McMahon gave him a chance to be out there by himself and try to do it, and he wasn't impressed. And I gotta say, if Vince isn't impressed, then obviously he didn't do a good enough job, and he just might not be ready for that. He's very talented. Byron, I think he's like a singer and a dancer, an actor, a wrestler, an announcer, a commentator, an interviewer, you name it. Like, he's very talented. However, when it comes to Monday Night Raw, there's a standard, and I'm not sure that he's there yet. And I don't say that. I'm not saying he can't get there. We've seen Michael Cole get there, and Michael Cole, at this point in his career, no one can do his job like he does it. And we saw him, come from the Todd Pettengill type of position. So anybody can get to that position or get to that, to that level of, that level of performance like Michael Cole and Jerry Lawler and Jim Ross and, those guys do. I just don't know if Byron's there yet.
Yeah, I agree. I think he can learn, but I think he does have a little bit more to learn. And you're in the broadcasting yourself. What do you think of another new broadcaster they have, Corey Graves? He's got that one show, and he also does the pre-show. And he was on NXT. What do you think of his work?
Oh man, I'm so jealous of him. I've got a good Corey Graves story.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. And I don't know that anybody even knows it, to be honest, but it's true. Well, I worked for a sports radio station, but they've actually, I don't work for them anymore. I work in the same building still. They're not here, and that station's not here anymore. However, on that station, we used to have, on the morning show every Tuesday at 9 o'clock was the Raw recap. Okay, it was either 8 or 9. It was either the 8 or 9 o'clock hour of in the morning was the Raw recap. And my thing was like, in this building, I feel like I'm the wrestling guy, right? I'm the wrestling aficionado. Like, I should be that guy, right? Well, Corey Graves comes in every Tuesday, and he's the guy. Like, he's the special guest every Tuesday and stuff. And I'm like, that should be me. But, I have to say, man, Corey Graves, he's got he definitely looks different. It's a completely unorthodox thing that he brings to the table as far as appearance goes. But it's cool because it's new and it's edgy, and it's what wrestling needs. For it not to be as cookie cutter. So, and not only that, he is pretty good on the mic. He's good, and just like anybody that's young and new, he's gonna mold and he's gonna change a little bit as at a time as he goes on, and he's gonna get good. I can tell he's really good at what he does already, at being kind of the rookie level of being on on the big stage.
Yeah, I agree. I think for as short of a career as he's had, he's definitely like stepping up. Especially with, I just watched the pre-show for the first time this week, and it was pretty impressive. I'm just gonna name off a few names that have kind of been making news as of late. Seeing what maybe if you know anything or what you think about them, if that's cool with you.
Sure.
Cool. We have a Samoa Joe. He's definitely rumored to be talking to WWE, maybe going to NXT, maybe jumping to the main roster. A lot of old hopefuls have to say. What do you think about Samoa Joe and his current situation?
Oh God, I hope so. And is it 5, 7, 8 years late? Maybe, but regardless, that's one of the big reasons that I'm not very fond of what TNA does. They completely dropped the ball on him, and AJ Styles obviously too, but completely dropped the ball on probably one of the most real homegrown, grassroots following that they've ever had. Like him and AJ were definitely, excuse me, him and AJ definitely had to be the two, top young stars that were there. Of course they were on ROH first, I get that, but still, TNA made them. Let's just face it. They came out of ROH, but ROH didn't have the TV deal they have now, and they weren't as popular. So TNA made AJ and Samoa stars, and they put a lot of work into it, and they did a really good job. And then, let's just, I don't know what your language barriers are on here, but let's just say the crap hit the fan.
Yeah.
And I was okay with them bringing in, stars, Kurt Angle and stuff like that. Booker T I was on the fence about, but Kurt Angle was good. I enjoyed that, and it was all great. But it just seemed like by the third match, they were just, by the third match between Samoa and Joe and Kurt, if I have it correct, it just felt like Joe was on his way down, and they were just using, him as a stepping stone for Kurt. And after that, I always felt like Joe was always on a decline from that point. And that was just really, it's sad because everybody knows the potential Samoa Joe had, and everybody knows the following he had, and just how awesome he was. The Joe's gonna kill you chants were just so cool. And I think they copied it from Taz maybe, but just everything about him is awesome. I hope he comes to WWE. I am okay with him going to NXT for 6 months, maybe a year if they have to. I just want them maybe to assess him, make sure he's got those kind of years left on him to even waste a year in NXT. But I'm okay with that because he's gonna have some great programs if he goes to NXT with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, and that's 6 months right there. So I think that I think he'll do great. I'm pretty sure he'll end up over there. Obviously, he's been doing a little farewell tour and stuff with ROH and going around and doing the rounds. I think with some of promotions. But at the end of the day, pretty sure him and Triple H are going to come to terms.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to see, like you said, Kevin Owens. I'd also like to see him versus Finn Balor. But
I love that guy. That guy's awesome. I'm telling you, man, that guy gets it. I don't know how else to put it other than, I'm not going to sit here and say, put him on Raw and stuff, like, whatever, whatever they want to do. I'm going to steal a line from one of the writers from WrestlingInformant.com. He wrote something like this on Facebook, but basically, wrestling is one of the most missed-the-mark things in the world. I stole that from a cat named Shane Steele, and it's so true, and it just, it wouldn't surprise me if they drop the ball, but if they don't, they've got something amazing on their hands.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. I think he might be like, if they play it right, I think he might be like the new Jeff Hardy in a sense, like getting all the the girls that go to the mall and everything, for him. He's got the kind of like goth vibe, but it's more clean cut. I definitely like him.
Yeah, exactly. He does have that little bit more of a clean cut, but I'm talking about not just the in-ring. His in-ring abilities are awesome too. He's got a great moveset, and it's exciting. But man, his performance and I'm into that. I like the melodrama. I crave it. I want the entrances. I want all of that. It makes wrestling entertaining. That's what it is. So Finn Balor, when it comes to entertaining and not doing the same thing every time. See, he does the different entrances. He's got Joker and he's done Hannibal, and I'm not going to try to name all of them. I can't think of them all, but I don't know how WWE's going to handle that, if they're just going to have him to have the same entrance every time. But what I would love to see is where, maybe not, it doesn't have to be every pay-per-view, but maybe he almost becomes like well, I'm not going to say that. I'll get a bunch of heat for saying Undertaker. But, in the sense where his entrance is looked forward to at the big events. And okay, if he's on Raw, he's going to have his entrance. But when it's SummerSlam or WrestleMania, what we don't know what to expect. You have to watch. It's going to be Finn Balor, and his entrance is going to be something new and exciting, and something maybe pop culture-y or something. So I'm hoping that they do embrace that part of him, because that's I think that's half of his act.
Yeah, I agree. Even if I know you said Undertaker, but also I was thinking, especially with the superhero vibe to it, like Rey Mysterio's done that a lot at WrestleMania and stuff like that.
I took the words out of my mouth. Exactly. That was the next name I was going to say, Rey.
Oh, nice. And then I know we talked about how we don't want to bring Finn up too soon and everything like that, but a guy they have brought up is Neville. He's been impressing a lot of people. What do you think of Neville? Do you think they're pushing him correctly? They took a lot of wins away from him at the beginning there. What do you think?
I plead the fifth.
Okay. Sounds good. Neville's a good talent though. Did you see the King of the Ring matches with him and Barrett?
He has some great moves. I mean, that cat can move in the ring. There's no doubt about that.
Oh yeah. And then
I did see. I saw the matches, and I've been seeing his matches. I've seen him getting put over too, as well with Barrett, which was a little bit surprising.
Oh yeah, the pay-per-view or the kickoff show too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. On the kickoff show, that's right. And they replaced. They've obviously replaced Daniel Bryan with him last minute, and it was just surprising that they put him over. But I guess they're really high on Neville.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I know you just mentioned Daniel Bryan there. Do you know of anything with the future of him, or how his injury is going, or? I know they're
I honestly don't. I don't know what's going on. I don't know any more than what you can read on your WrestlingInformant.coms and all those. Like, I don't know any more than what's out there. But I'll give you I'll give you like maybe my opinion on it. I feel really bad for him. I think at this point, before he came to the WWE, I want to say he was in the Indies for 10 or 13 years. Was it 10 years?
I think 10 or over. Yes.
Yeah. So. Where I'm going with this is he has a super physical style. It's awesome. Like, I went from, not really liking him and saying, oh boy, and I kind of agreeing with Triple H, knowing he's great. Like, I know he's great. But just me saying, oh, please, don't let him be in the main event of WrestleMania. But now I really, I respect him, and I know he's good and stuff. But I just feel bad for him because I think those 10 years in the Indies, I think he really beat up his body, and I think now at this point in his career, he's in a fragile state, and I really don't know. I hope the best for him. At this point, I want him to succeed. I want him to have longevity. He's an extension of Shawn Michaels. He's got a great story that they can use, forever. So I really do hope that he does pull through, and they are able to maybe change his style and have him. Stone Cold Steve Austin did that. He had to kind of change his style when he broke his neck and came back. He went from being a really great technical wrestler with some good moves. He was really slick in the ring and fluid, to kind of a brawl type of wrestler. So, and that was all due to the neck injury. So I'm hoping that they kind of figure something out, and that his health is up to par to the point where he can perform. But I really don't. I don't know where he stands at this point. It just seems like it's so touch and go. The guy's got to be cursed, man. I mean, let's face it. He just went. He went to WrestleMania last year. He went through freaking Goro and Shao Kahn just to get to Triple H, and then to the main event, and then he wins the title, and then boom, he has to hand it over and leave. Skip forward another year, same crap happens with the Intercontinental title. He has to, bow out after he wins another big moment at WrestleMania. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. I hope he's not cursed, but it just seems that way, man.
Do you think they're going to keep the belt on him, or do you think they're going to have some kind of tournament, or how do you think they're going to work the IC title with Bryan gone?
Thursday? I'll tell you what. I was at work all day. I haven't had a chance to get to the TiVo and watch SmackDown. And I don't know. Have you seen SmackDown? I assume that they're going to say something. They're going to maybe announce something. I haven't had a chance to see that.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I was just at work all day. I just got off to do the interview, so I haven't watched SmackDown yet. But hopefully they announce something. I'm always into tournaments. I know they just did the King of the Ring, but I always like the tournament.
Yeah, that King of the Ring. Oh my gosh, my buddies Gary and Chris at Wrestling Informant, man, they hit it on the nail on the head. They were talking about just how King of the Ring just popped up out of nowhere, and it was like, tomorrow Tuesday, watch the finals, or the finals to the King of the Ring, and we're like, when was the King of the Ring for there to be finals? Like, King of the Ring, they've got all of these ridiculous pay-per-views, ridiculous names, ridiculous gimmicks that mean absolutely nothing. And you're not going to get any big storyline changes. You're not going to get any big moments because they're just in between pay-per-views, like your Paybacks and your Battlegrounds. I went to Battleground last year, and I prayed to God that they'd switch it and have Raw instead, because I wanted Raw instead of the pay-per-view. That's how bad the pay-per-views can be sometimes. Raw is always better than the pay-per-views, unless unless you're looking at SummerSlam or one of the other big pay-per-views.
Well, yeah, I especially thought it was kind of weird, especially on the Extreme Rules. They had a lot of backstage segments with Lana and everything. It seemed like there was more backstage segments on Extreme Rules than Raw on Monday night. It was kind of ridiculous.
Right. So, sorry, back to the King of the Ring thing. They really need to make a pay-per-view out of that. That has such a what's the word? A nostalgic feel to it. It's like having the Royal Rumble. Like, you can never get rid of the Royal Rumble. You're going to have a riot,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not a good thing. And they took away King of the Ring years ago, and that's fine. But if you're going to tease it, like, come on, just give us King of the Ring. You're going to get major network buys out of it and stuff because you're bringing King of the Ring back. Like, let's face it, that'd be old school people would be like, oh snap, I don't want the network, but they're gonna have King of the Ring. Oh, I remember that. That was that's how Stone Cold got his start. That's King of the Ring. I'm gonna get that, But no, they just it's free. Not only is it free, it's on the last night of it being on the last night I think of it being free, the network being free. Not even like having it where you have to pay for the network. So I don't know what they're doing. They're giving so much stuff away. They just had 5 days in a row of brand new, unique, original programming. Something every day for 5 days. This week they're doing that, and it's they're not making people. I don't know if they're doing it right. They're not dangling the carrot right, and then making you pay when it's time. It just seems all lopsided. So I don't know the philosophy that Vince McMahon's going by yet, but I hope it works out because I'm a big fan of his, and I really do hope it works out.
Yeah, I think we all do. Do you have much hopes for the Payback pay-per-view? It looks like there's a lot of rematches already from Extreme Rules.
Oh my God, brother! Do you have a time machine? You just skip forward.
Yeah, I'm ready for SummerSlam.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I've got my eye on SummerSlam. Of course, I'm gonna watch the pay-per-view, but I just don't. I don't feel like there's anything to look forward to. It feels bland. The product's not bland. I think the product's on the uprise right now. I think it's doing great. They've got young stars. A few years ago, the landscape was different. Let's remember like Jack Swagger and Sheamus. Their title reigns that were just kind of a flop. And there was no young stars to try, so they'd always reset and just give the title to Cena. Is like okay, that didn't work. Reset. Cena gets the title, and let's see what we can do now. You know what I mean? They did that for years, but now they've got so much young talent that's actually, performing at a level that John Cena can do his own thing. And now you've got all these young cats. I mean, I looked in the ring the other day and I was like, wow, like that's the main event. You've got like Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, and like that's and you don't have. And I looked at it was like weird. You don't have another star in there to kind of give it the star rub. It's like no, they're the stars. Like they're becoming stars, and they're worthy. These aren't guys that are going to flop. You can tell, like you just know that these guys are going to make it. As long as they don't screw it up, and they don't get injured to the point where they have to retire, these guys have a future. So I think that the product nowadays is not bland. And the reason, I digress. The reason I said that is the pay-per-views, just the pay-per-views starting to feel bland and almost very predictable and boring. And you almost have to wait for WrestleMania for, in SummerSlam to really feel like you're watching a pay-per-view.
Yeah, I agree. Do you think? What do you think the big matches are going to be for SummerSlam this year? Do you think they're going to bring Brock back, or do you think they're going to have Brock Rollins? I mean,
Brock Lesnar just signed back with WWE, so I would assume they're going to use him at SummerSlam. It's a pretty big pay-per-view. It's one of their 4 biggest. So I'd have to say, with his limited dates and how he's taking time off right now, I would say SummerSlam would be the time to bring him back. Survivor Series doesn't seem like a strong point to bring Brock Lesnar back. I think SummerSlam is where you want Brock Lesnar, to really bring your ratings or your buys and stuff up for the pay-per-view. But Brock Lesnar, I think he should definitely get. I don't know if we're gonna have to wait till Mania, but I want to see Brock and Rock again. It's at this point, it's like been how long has it been? 10 years since they wrestled.
Oh yeah, I think that was.
It's more actually. It's more than 10 years since Brock Rock.
Yeah, wasn't that 2001, 2002, correct?
Yeah, so now it's like, and that was a great matchup at the time, but now it's like, holy, these guys are even bigger than they were then, and their names are so much bigger. That it means so much more. So I think it's a great generation, like a next, skip a generation and have them go again, and they can still both go. It's not like having 2 guys that people are like, oh, they need to retire. Like these guys can both go, like really go. and I think that's a great matchup. I don't think we're going to see it at SummerSlam, though. I don't know where Brock Lesnar would be, who would he wrestle. I mean, who do you see him wrestling? He just seems like he's kind of out of the picture right now.
Yeah, I mean, I could see them doing I know they at Royal Rumble they did the three-way with Cena, Brock, and Rollins. So I could see, especially with him taking the title, they could do Rollins, Lesnar, or maybe Orton, Lesnar, or something, just to get him going into the title picture wrestling like a guy like The Rock for Mania. I'm not sure though. That's just playing kind of fantasy booking for me.
Right. I don't know. I have a hard time with Orton and Brock Lesnar. It's a weird dynamic. I don't know. I don't know. It's definitely a weird dynamic. But when does Brock Lesnar get his rematch? Right? Because he was the champion, so he's still owed a rematch. If I'm correct, isn't that right?
Yeah, that's normally how it works. It's kind of I love Rollins. I would love to see Rollins get thrown around by Lesnar. I think that'd be pretty entertaining.
Right. Well, CM Punk had a decent match with Lesnar, and the CM Punk and Rollins are, they have some parallels. Definitely, they have some similarities, and just the look, the look and not the look, but the size and the way they move and stuff. Just kind of like smaller guys that can move well and are still kind of strong enough to do some power moves.
Yeah. I agree. There's a lot of parallels between those two. I know CM Punk's jumping in the UFC. Do you know much about that? Like how his career's going to go, who he's going to fight, or is that any...
I don't know, man. I haven't seen his chin get tested. I have a good story, though, about him.
Oh, yeah?
And I didn't witness it personally. However, I can tell you that the person that it happened to told me this story from his own mouth, so it's got to be true.
Okay.
But I'll say this. CM Punk has, from what I know, on the indies, in real street fights, CM Punk is 1-0.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and this isn't a secret. I'm pretty sure a bunch of people know about this. But here's the story, and I won't get into detail because I wasn't there, so I don't want to I don't want to BS it. I'll tell you the vague story goes that a young man that goes by the name of Teddy Hart and Teddy Hart told me this himself.
Okay.
Okay. Teddy Hart was at ROH, and apparently he was kind of disrespecting the promotion, which is no secret. We've seen it on YouTube. He's done all kinds of stuff. He's done unplanned spots, and he's just done a lot of stuff that has really upset people at ROH. And one night, CM Punk was not having it, and the story goes CM Punk took him out back and taught him a lesson.
Well, there you go, 1-0 in the street fight. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I've been a big fan of CM Punk. He's the one who got me kind of into Ring of Honor back in the day, him and Samoa Joe. So, I'm really kind of just looking forward to this next stage of his career, and I'll be watching for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's got so much to lose and nothing to lose. He's already a multimillionaire. He's, he can only really gain from this. I don't see how he can lose from this, even if he loses a fight. It's not like he's a pro fighter. Like no one thinks he's going to go out there and beat the crap out of people. This is a publicity thing. Everybody knows that. He's, so no matter what he wins, he's going to make tons of money. He's if he wins, great. He looks like $1 billion, and he might have more matches or more fights. If he loses, hey, it was my first fight. Now, I know if I learn from my mistakes, this and that. So he's got it. He's on easy streak, and I don't see. But I think there's a dilemma because you can't put him against a guy who's 17-6, and then you can't put him against a guy that has absolutely like no name value at all. So they got to find a good balance of who's his first fight going to be that has some name value, but not too experienced where they're gonna they're just gonna catch him in something as soon as he makes a mistake. So they've got to find a good balance for an opponent for him and. I don't know. You never know. I cover up, kid. Grab your butt cold.
I hear that. Well, I really appreciate you coming on for this interview. Maybe we can do another one sometime.
Anytime you want, man.
Awesome. And this is Mark Charles. Go to his website. outsideinterference.podbean.com. Do you have a Twitter handle that you want to know about outside interference?
I have. You can follow. Outside Interference on Twitter, it's at Interference316. How original, I know. And the one that my Twitter handle is at Bay Producer. You don't have to follow me. I just have one to have one.
Nice. And you can always follow me at jgprowrestling.com. I'm reporting for pjtwcentral.com. Oh, JG Pro Wrestling on Twitter at pjtwcentral.com, rather. Really appreciate you, Mark.